Hey guys, 91 Extreme RT here, and this is just a little overview of the best character to choose in hardcore difficulty. First we're going to go over some of the pros and cons of each of the classes, then I'll give you what I think is the best class to use. I've played hardcore before, and I've made it to hell difficulty in hardcore, so... First off, I've gotten each of the classes to Diablo or killed in Diablo in Inferno difficulty. Just that some of these I'm, farming different quests. Like I usually farm Heart of Sin for gear because it's the best quest line. The monk I've beaten Diablo with. So start off with the Barbarian. It's very powerful, especially at lower levels, up through Nightmare and into Hell. But once you start getting, little ways into Hell, like Act 2, the Barbarian starts having problems with survivability because unlike the previous difficulties, you could just leap into a mob, do overpower, and usually you're hit by then and your revenge is proc and you just shred everything. In Hell difficulty, because like all of your healing abilities, like revenge with the healing rune and overpower with the healing rune and maniac with the healing rune, or frenzy with the healing rune, shit like that, or rend, or any of those, it requires mobs to heal you, and it usually doesn't heal you for enough. The Barbarian, out of all the classes, needs the most gear to survive, out of all of them. On my monk there, I spent maybe 400k on gear, and I breezed right through Inferno difficulty. I died maybe 4 or 5 times at most the entire difficulty, including Diablo. I never died on Diablo, so versus my Barbarian, I've stuck about 2.5-3 million into gear on it so far, and I'm still getting completely fucking demolished in Act 2. My monk has like 500, 550 all resistances. It pretty much easy mode all of Inferno, including Diablo. My Barbarian has 700-800 all resistances, and it gets hit like it has no resistances. So the bad side to the Barbarian is going to be that it is actually really squishy, which it shouldn't be, which I hope they change. Now, move on to the Demon Hunter. The Demon Hunter is pretty squishy too. It's either you're alive or you're dead when it comes to Inferno. And sometimes, depending on the mob affixes, the elite mob affixes in Hell difficulty. Now, it has a lot of evasive things, like you got your Shadow Power, which you can use to heal you, you got your Smoke Screen, you got your Vault in preparation to regen your resource to use all those abilities. Good side is that it nukes. I mean, the scaling on damage for Demon Hunter doubles that of any of the other classes. This Demon Hunter right here normally has like 50,000-60,000 DPS with my Gold Find set on, with only like 400 or 500, dex, so barely like any dex. I'm pulling, still 13, to 18,000 DPS, with only like 400 dex. I got 1,200 intelligence like on my wizard here, and I only got 11,000 damage. So it's pretty, the damage scaling on the Demon Hunter is really good, so you can expect to like just blaze right through mobs, and you have a lot of evasive abilities, so it's a pretty good class to think about. But overall, especially in the later acts, is that it becomes very, very, very squishy. So, next move on to the Monk. The Monk is very, very tanky. It does good damage. You get a life regeneration, mantra. You can get a dodge, mantra, conviction, or increase damage to nearby enemies mantra. It is an awesome class to play. I mean, they're, other than I guess faster mobility, because there is abilities you can use to like dart around, but like in combat mobility is really good, but evasive mobility, there pretty much is none. So that would have to be the only downside to the Monk, is that there's no evasive agility. Let's go to the Wizard. Wizard is really fun to play. Like, you got your freezes, you got your knockbacks, you got your slow times, got a lot of defensive abilities to use, including your teleport and shit like that. The only downside to this class is that once you reach that level cap, or once you reach Inferno, it's hard to get damage on it. It's hard to build that damage pool on it. Depending on what gear set I have on my wizard, if I have my full DPS set, which is about 1700 intelligence, excuse me, it's about 1700 intelligence, and I'm cranking out maybe 14,000 damage. It is not very much at all. And so I guess the damage scaling once you get to Inferno is going to be really shitty, but leveling up wise, it is really fast. It's, it does pretty good damage as long as you keep your gear twinked out, re-gear yourself every 5th level. It'd be a really good, class to consider, just for all of its defensive abilities. It's a hell of a lot more tanky than what the Barbarian is by far. I mean, I don't know why a clothy, is tougher than, a plate-wearing melee Barbarian, but, that's the game. That's how it is. So, move on to the Witch Doctor. The Witch Doctor does really good damage depending on what abilities you use. If you use, let's say, a really high damage two-hander and your Poison Dart with the Splinters rune, it'll hit for a lot of damage. Your Zombie Bears do a lot of damage. Pretty much everything else in your entire arsenal does shit damage. On this Witch Doctor, I have about 19,000 DPS, and if I use like my Acid Cloud and Poison Rain, it'll hit for 6, 7, 8, 9k maybe, and that's it. Which is kind of stupid considering my DPS is supposed to be 9,000. So the damage scaling is really variable depending on what ability you're using. My zombie barrels will hit non-crit for like 40, 50k, but in another ability that I have that, has the same AoE radius, only hits for 7, 8k. It doesn't really make much sense at all, but defensively, you got your wall of zombies so you can barricade off a hallway while you nuke stuff. You got your pets to keep aggro off you. You got your fear, or your mass confusion, to keep the aggro off you. And you got your spirit walk, which is pretty much like you go invisible and you can sprint away and run really fast for a couple seconds type thing. It's a good old shit button. So defensively it's really good, but solo, considering that your highest damage abilities are pretty much melee range, like the Zombie Bears. I mean, that's by far the most damaging ability that it has. Because it's melee range, it's not a really good class to go solo with. It'd be a good class to do hardcore in, let's say, like a group, like co-op. But overall, the character that I would choose and that would be the best for hardcore would easily be the monk. And this is just from my experience, because I've got a level 49 and a 50 monk in hardcore. I have taken this tune all the way through Primeval Inferno here. I've beaten the game with this character. Act 4, where is it? Primeval Inferno, right there, achievement. Now, the reason for this specifically is that you get a physical heal, like a standalone heal. It's not a heal that you need to, you need to hit a mob with in order to regenerate your life when you kill them or something like that, or hit them. It's a standalone heal, so, that's bar none above all other classes right there. You have the ability called Serenity, which gives you a 3-second immune bubble. You're immune to anything, and you can also put a rune in it to either extend the duration of the immunity, or what I do is I put a heal on it, because usually I never need to use that bubble unless I'm in an oh shit situation. I get hit really hard, so not only does it make me immune for a couple seconds, it also usually heals me right back to full health. You got your evasion abilities. You got your blind. So if you're about to get hit, you can blind the entire mob. Pop your immune bubble and kill a couple guys before they come out of the blind. And if you get hit again, just hit your heal. You have per spirit spent. You can get a passive called Transcendence that heals you per point of spirit spent. So like what I usually do, I have Transcendence and I have Lashing Tail Kick with Vulture Claw Kick rune as my dump, or I use my Mantra of Evasion to heal me, because the Mantra of Evasion uses a lot more spirit, so therefore it'll actually heal me for more also. And on top of that, it'll also give me a 10% dodge bonus for a couple seconds on top of the regular dodge bonus the Mantra gives. So I'll use my Mantra to heal me a lot of times. It's really hard to die at this character. The only reason you're going to die at this character is if you lag out, if the servers are being retarded and it lags out, or if your internet has issues and it lags out and it kills you. That's about it. I mean, it's extremely hard to die with this class. I went all the way through Inferno with 300, 400, 500 less, in some cases 600, 700 less resistances than the other people are. The other people in my party. People doing Inferno Act 4 and Diablo with, 400, 500, or I should say, 700, 800 all resistances, sometimes over 1,000. And I went in there with, I think my lowest resistance being 508, and I killed them in one shot, and I have a video of that. So you don't need much gear to survive with this character. It requires very little gear. You just gotta, make sure you keep your damage up, have a good weapon on, and, being hardcore, you're gonna want a shield, because even with the shield, you still do a lot of damage, and you get that block rating, you get that armor rating with the shield, so it's only a benefit. And also, once you get into the later levels, into the mid to high 50s, you can start getting all resistance gear, and shields can have a lot of all resistances on them. So yeah, overall, I would definitely choose the monk for hardcore. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, bitches, griefs, or concerns, leave them in the comment box below. And that'll be it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later.